Hello, this is Sandy with Sandy's Crafty Creations and brand ambassador for Graphic 45. In this video, I share how I created my Cafe Parisian travel journal. Let's get started. I will be using a new trendy product from Sizzix to create my journal, Eileen Hull's Travel Journal Die and Graphic 45's Cafe Parisian paper collection. I'm also using Sizzix matte board in white in the 6-inch by 13-inch size to cut with the die, and I'm going to use peel and stick adhesive by Thermoweb. I'm using 2 of the matte board pieces to make the covers, and I'm applying the peel and stick to the matte board where I'm going to be cutting with the die. So I'm applying it down, and you just press it down with your hands, and then I'm going to peel this up and attach the pattern paper that I have selected from the Cafe Parisian collection, and I am attaching that to the matte board before I actually cut the die out with my Big Shot. I cut out one cover at a time, and I place it onto the die, and then I add an acrylic layer to one side, and on the back side of the die I add another acrylic layer, so I've created a sandwich to run through my Big Shot. You will need to cut out 2 with your die and Big Shot so that you have a front and back cover. I'm going to use the cherries for the outside of my journal book, and I'm using a stylus to make sure that the holes have punched through all the way through the matte board and the paper. Next, I'm using an emery board to sand off any of the excess paper that might not have a smooth edge, and I also want to distress it just a little bit so that it will hold the ink and give it a more shabby chic look. So I am sanding all the edges of the front and back cover with my emery board. You can use any type of sanding tool that you like to use. Here I'm inking the edges, and I'm using the photogenic black ink, the Graphic 45 Color Box Decades ink in the photogenic black to ink the edges of my papers and the covers. And I went ahead and inked the spine edge also because I'm not sure yet which one will actually be showing, so I want to make sure I get those inked. Cut 2 pieces of paper to fit the inside of your covers. I'm using the opposite side of the cherries for mine, and I'm applying these to the covers with glue rather than the peel and stick because I think it's easier to attach it on the inside this way. I like the peel and stick on the outside of my covers to make sure that the covers are stuck down nice and smooth. So I'm using the Art Glitter Designer glue, and I will attach these 2 papers to the inside of the covers. And once you've done that, make sure that you go ahead and punch out the holes again after you've covered the inside. Go ahead and fold the score lines that were made when you cut out the covers with the Big Shot so that you'll be able to see them, and also sand the edges of the inside papers and ink those. Next, apply 1/4 inch score tape on the spine area on one side of on the inside of your cover. Peel off the backing and stick the two covers together, lining up the two holes at the top and the two holes at the bottom and the hole in the center of the spine. And line them up, make sure it's straight, burnish it real well, and allow it to stick down to create the spine of your journal book. And just pull it up, train it to fold, and keep the spine area attached together. So you might have to add a little bit of glue to do that. Next, I'm adding the elastic for the signature pages of my book, and use the guide, the instruction guide that comes with the die on how to thread this. I started at the bottom and brought it up to the top, and then you weave it in and out so that you end up with 3 elastic bands to attach 3 signatures into the book. Next, measure the inside of your journal book, inside of your covers, to determine the height and the width of your pages that you're going to cut and fold. So I'm taking a sticky note to write down my measurements, which is 4 inches wide. You need to multiply that by 2, so that gives you 8 inches wide that you need to cut. And then I want the height to be 7 1/4 inches tall. So you'll cut all your papers to 8 inches wide by 7 1/4 tall. So I'm using some white copy paper, a real heavyweight copy paper, and these have been cut to the size that I needed, which is the 7 1/4 inches tall by 8 inches wide, and then they're scored and folded in half at 4 inches. And now I am cutting out the pattern paper, which is also the same size. It's going to be the 8 inches wide, and I cut it to 7 1/4 inches tall. And you also fold your pattern papers in half, and you fold it so that the pattern that you want to be the outside is showing on the outside here. I chose the roses, so I am using my bone folder to burnish the fold line really well. And you will make 3 signature sets. So this is 2 pieces of the white paper, which gives me 4 sheets once it's in the book, and 1 pattern paper, which is like a cover within the journal book cover. So that is 1 signature. Just make sure that the fold lines are burnished really good. Then take your cover that you've already added your elastic bands into, and just slip this underneath 1 elastic, open it up and slide it in so that the elastic band lays on the fold line. So that is 1 signature in your journal book. So we're going to add 2 more, and then I will show you how to decorate and add other elements to your book. Next, I created a real fun element to add into one of your signatures. So this is a 12 by 12 piece of black cardstock. It is 12 inches wide by about 11 inches tall, 10.5 to 11 inches tall, just depends on how tall you want it to be. And I scored the 12-inch side at 4 and 8 to get the sections, and then I scored at 4 on one side on the other direction, and then just fold it up, and then this will just slide under the elastic in between one of the signatures. So it's just a way to add in some pockets and kind of a fold out. So I will show you how I finish that later. And I do want to add that the elastic that I used was what I had on hand, which was a 4.5 millimeter, and I think a little bit heavier elastic would have worked better to hold the signatures in, but this was easier to thread through, and it is what I had on hand for this project. So for this fold out, you want to measure and cut pattern papers to cover the different sections like the front and the back, and then each section on the inside. Once you've added pattern paper to the top 3 sections of your fold out, take your glue and run a thin line along each fold line between each section. So you have it on the outside edge, and then you'll have it on the 2 lines of glue on each inside section as I'm putting it on now, and then one on the outside on the right. And it is best to put the glue on the bottom section and then fold it up and burnish it down, and this creates a sealed pocket for each section. This is how the inside of my fold out looked after I had added all of the pattern papers on the inside. And as you can see, the pockets are all sealed, and you have a pocket where you can insert tags. And I still need to pattern the other main sections on the back. Just use different pattern papers from the collection, and then attach these down also with glue. Insert the fold out that you created into one of the signatures between one of the white pages. So I'm just slipping this inside here with the top of it at the top. You want the pockets to be able to open from the top, and just fold it down. And next we're going to create a closure piece. So I have taken one of the envelopes from the matching Cafe Parisian Pockets and Envelopes package, and I'm applying glue just to the fold hinge part of one of the pockets, and I'm attaching it sideways, and I'm placing the fold line along the right edge of the fold out. So you need to hold this down and use some clips to hold it in place until it completely dries. So this creates a little side tuck spot pocket on the front of your fold out. And make sure you get it on straight, and the fold line of the little pocket needs to be along the cut edge of the fold out that you created. So here I'm going to add some clips to hold it in place to make sure that it dries. Next I'm going to use some Velcro, one set of Velcro circles to attach the tag or the closure piece onto the back side. So here I'm just trying to decide whether to use 2 sets or just one, but I did end up using just one in the center because they are really sticky and it holds it tight, securely, tightly closed. So attach 2 together with a sticky side facing out, and then press down onto your fold out booklet, and then gently lift it up so that everything stays in place. So I pressed it down to make sure that it's stuck. Next I'm going to create a section in one of the signatures with a craft envelope. So I've taken a craft envelope from my stash and I'm folding it in half, burnishing it with your bone folder, and then where the fold is and where the flap comes down, cut that apart so that each side has its own flap. And then I'm going to use my corner rounder, my chomper, to round the corners of the envelope flaps so that they match. Now I did end up on the back side sealing one of the flaps down, so I only needed one flap because I wanted a solid piece in case I wanted to add a picture or something. So once you create this, just slide it in with a signature under the elastic, and then it's ready for you to decorate and add pattern papers. So now I'm ready to start on the cover. I've already added a tea-dyed paper doily at the top. You can barely see that at the top above the cake cut apart. And then I attached another cut apart on top of that one and left it open so that I could slide this little mini doily that I'm inking into that so that only half of it shows. And then I've decided to add another little cut apart or fussy cut out an element to add onto that doily. Now to make it easier to work on your journal book to decorate the cover, I just used a little clip to hold it closed. And this also helps to train the journal book to actually open and close easily. I do want a ribbon closure. I want to tie a real pretty bow on the side, so I'm using a real pretty sheer dotted wide ribbon that I purchased from Country Craft Creations, and I'm attaching it to the back, just the back only of my cover, with score tape, and then I am tying it into a bow to see how well it holds down as a closure piece for this. And I like how it looks. So you decide on any type of closure that you want to use. It could be ribbon, you could use elastic wrap type closure. There's several different ways that you can keep your little journal book closed. I just happen to like this particular ribbon with the Cafe Parisian collection. So I'm trimming the ends. Now I'm looking over the ribbon for the closure, and I'm deciding here that I will probably stick down the front because I'm going to add some flowers later. And I'm also deciding how I want to finish the spine area. You can leave it plain like this, where you can see the elastic threading that you did, or you can cover it with some kind of ribbon or lace. And I'm going to add some elastic lace that I also purchased from Country Craft Creations. So I'm applying score tape to the spine area, and I'm putting that down over the elastic threading that I have on the outside and over the sheer ribbon that comes around the spine section. So I'm putting down the score tape, and I'm peeling off the backing, and then I will attach the lace down onto the tape. Now I ended up using two lengths of lace on the spine to give it a full look. So this particular lace has an elastic stretch to it. It's really easy to work with, and it's really pretty. It's kind of a country crochet looking lace, which I think worked really well with the Cafe Parisian. The ribbon on the back is held down with score tape, but I feel that it needs a little something else to make sure that it stays secure. So I'm selecting a chipboard piece from the matching Cafe Parisian set, and I'm going to glue down the frame. And before I do that, I ink the edges. And I think here I'm using the dark cashmere of the Decades ink for Graphic 45. And I'm going to glue down the frame, and then I'm going to glue the centerpiece in with the frame. So this just kind of gives a label finished look on the back, and it also helps to secure the ribbon on the back of the journal book. Next, I'm attaching a length of light blue ribbon to the front side of the cover. I applied score tape, a narrow 1/4 inch score tape along the edge of the lace that's on the front, and then I'm just attaching the ribbon down flat. It was a real pretty color. It had small dots that complements the colors of the paper. To finish up the front cover of my journal book, I am adding some flowers, and I'm using the 49 and Market flowers that I purchased from Country Craft Creations. If you haven't used these type of flowers, they're just unique designs, beautiful colors. They come with lots of leaves and greenery to add into your project. So I'm adding a couple of different styles in on this cover. I'm using this large pretty pink one here, and I'm just placing it down over the area where my ribbon is. Now, as I said earlier, I did go ahead and attach the ribbon halfway across the front and left it free to tie on the right side. So I'm going to go ahead and just use the 3-in-1 glue to attach the flowers into the section of the cover that I would like them placed. For the inside of your journal book, I encourage you to think creatively and add any kind of elements, pockets, flaps that you desire inside your book. I am going to use the chipboard pieces and the tags and envelopes from the Cafe Parisian collection to finish up decorating the inside of my book. And I will show you a few of the things that I do, but not everything. So right now in this portion of the video, I am creating a paperclip. You'll see the large silver paperclip laying on my mat. These are just purchased from the office supply, and I am attaching paper to the back side of a chipboard piece, and I'm punching the hole out so that I can add a bit of colored string, and I will glue this to one side of the paperclip and then allow it to dry and use that to attach it into my book. So what I'm doing here, I'm going to glue the paperclip to the back of the chipboard piece, and then I'm going to insert that little piece of paper that I cut to match the chipboard in between the chipboard piece and the other section of the paperclip so that it easily slides on and off. For my book, I made a couple of these different little paper clips. You can make as many as you need, and you can also glue on flowers and different elements to make it uniquely your own. For the inside cover of my journal book, I am going to create a little memo pad, and I'm using copy paper that I've cut to about 3 inches long by probably 2 inches wide, and a chipboard piece from the collection plus a Tim Holtz clip. Now the first thing I'm going to do is take the papers, and I'm going to score on the long side on each one at a 1/4 inch. So I put mine in, and I'm scoring at 2 3/4 on the 3-inch side. So I'm going to score each one. This gives me a fold and a place where you can actually tear the little pages out, and you'll see in just a minute how I attach them together. And with that score line, you can tear out pages as you need them when you take notes. So go ahead and continue scoring all of your papers and cut as many as you want for your little notepad, and then apply a line of glue to the fold edge along the score line, and then line up each page and continue gluing and lining up pages until you have a little notepad. Glue the chipboard piece to the front of your little notepad, and I'm just applying a line of glue on the chipboard, and then you attach it within the section of the score line. You don't want to go over the score line of the papers. So hold it down and allow it to dry and make sure you've centered it and that you have it on straight. Then take your Tim Holtz clip and just clip it to the top. It's not actually made to hold the papers, but as it's just for looks. So on the back side, I'm going to apply some foam tape just to the chipboard. You do not want to put any glue or tape on the back of your paper, of your little notepad. You just want it along the back side of your chipboard piece and attach it into the cover, inside cover of your album. To create a pen holder, take a strip of patterned paper. Any scrap will do, whatever height you want. I'm using about a 3/4 inch wide and probably about 6 inches long. And what I'm doing is folding it in half and gluing the papers together to get a double thickness. So you want it a little bit stronger, and then ink the edges. Then apply glue to the back side of it and insert it underneath your little notepad, and you do want to insert the pen into the loop to make sure that you've allowed enough room for a pen. And you see here I've added the paper clip, and now the pen is attached to the side of the little notepad. To create a portrait sleeve insert for my journal book, I am using a vertical pocket page for 3x4 photos by Simple Stories. And I've cut the edge off that has the 2-hole punch on the side, and I've cut it so that it doesn't take away the seal. And then I've inserted 2 pieces of paper inside the pockets until I'm ready to add pictures. And I have cut a piece of scrap paper the length of the pocket page, and then I've also made it about 4 inches wide, and I'm scoring at a 1/2 inch on just one side, on the 4-inch side. So long way, score it 1/2 inch, and then burnish the score line. And I'm going to make it so that the blue 1/2 inch is on the outside, so I'm scoring that back. And then I'm going to take about some score tape, and I'm going to use a 1/4 inch piece of score tape because I don't want the entire piece covered, the 1/2 inch covered. So I'm going to apply score tape to just the cut edge with a 1/4 inch tape so that it does not go over the fold line. Peel the backing off and then attach it to one side of your pocket page. Make sure the top opening is at the top. So just fold that over. And now the plastic is attached, and you have a flap that you can insert into one of the signatures of your journal book. So just lift up the elastic and slide that under. And this also gives you an extra flap for other photos, or if you want to add a pocket or something onto the other piece of paper. My journal book is completed, and I'm going to do a walkthrough portion of the video to show you the different things that I did on mine. So this is the front cover. I did add a little charm with a Eiffel Tower on the front, and then on the back you see the chipboard piece, and on the spine I did tie some twine and some of the braided ribbon and added some charms. So a really great way to get charms is to go to a vintage or antique mall or shop and purchase some inexpensive costume charm bracelets. I think I paid about $3 for this charm bracelet, and then you cut up the take the charms off and tie them onto your ribbon. So inside we have our little notepad with the paper clip holding the papers down and our pencil holder. And on the front page I used one of the pockets from the pocket and envelopes section chipboard piece and used a tag. I used ATC tags by Graphic 45 to create some tags. For the craft envelope, I just patterned it with patterned paper, added a chipboard decorative piece on the front, inserted a little tag inside. Use scraps of your paper folded in half to create little booklets to tuck in. So just create different little tuck spots within your journal book. You open up on the inside. I created out of scrap paper a pocket with a thumb punch on one end and inserted one of the tags from the collection. And here I've used a chipboard piece and just glued it at the top so that you can tuck other pieces of paper. You can add photos onto mats and just slide that under there. And I did leave the white paper blank for notes and different things like that. This is the fold outs and the little cut aparts that I made, and a tag that slide into the pocket that was created on the fold out cardstock section. I added a chipboard tab, and then you open it up, and inside the pockets I did add some cut aparts and created additional pockets. So this tag fits inside there. And this one's a little snug. I just have to work with it. It does come out. So there we go. It slides in, and I made these out of those white ones out of watercolor paper, and then decorative punched the corners. So they can be used for journaling or for photos, or you could stamp an image in color, the image. There we go. That one's still a little tight, but once I work with it, it'll come on loose. Some more blank pages. And on this one I did a triangle corner pocket and added one of the tags. And there's the portrait sleeve, the little 3x4 photos, which will actually be smaller than that because we have the ½ inch attached, but looks real pretty with the patterned paper in it. Some more blank pages. And that's my completed journal book created with the Eileen Hull's travel journal die and Graphic 45's Cafe Parisian papers. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.